Hi everybody, welcome to Realm of the Sacred Roots. It's been a while since I've been on and I wanted to chat with you guys today. I had a question that was asked. I think the most popular videos that people watch from me ends up being my necromancy videos. Anything having to do with mediumship, necromancy, the dead. Those happen to be the videos that people watch the most, so I get the most questions from them. I've been busy lately because I am taking classes right now, so I haven't been on YouTube in a while. I don't even have my makeup's not on or anything. I just thought I'd come on late night to answer. I believe her name was Glenda. She sent in a question on YouTube and then she also followed up with an email. So this video is for you. Glenda said she watched my necromancy videos and her questions, I think she had two different questions, but her main question was, how do you take a spirit and basically put it into a store-bought skull? I'm going to try my best to answer this question. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have their own methods of doing things. I have no idea what people do. I just know what works for me and what I do. If I were talking to her, I would ask her some specific questions because I'm assuming this is not a real skull. I'm assuming this is a fake skull, which I've heard other practitioners say it works the same. I've only used real skulls, real human skulls for this work. So I cannot attest to using skulls that are not real. But again, I've heard other people say you can use other skulls and it works the same. For me, it depends. You have two separate entities, two separate items you're working with. You're working with a spirit, and which means someone that's been deceased, and you're working with a skull. Whether real or fake. From my perspective, I'm talking about a real skull. There's a lot to get into, even from acquisition of the skulls. I don't recommend anything illegal, of course. I have bought all of, let me think if that's a true statement, but for the most part, I have bought most of my skulls. They are expensive to purchase if you're purchasing human skulls. So it might take you a while to get one if you have to save up for it, but it's well worth it, okay? Especially if you can find out from the person you're buying it from, if the person's a male or female, any history on them, what country they're from, how old is the skull, things like that. That's good to know. Okay, also, since we're on skull, we might as well stay on skull. So anything you could know, even about their profession, that would help to know what type of skull that was. Okay, let's start with that. I prefer older skulls, depending on the job you're trying to do. If you want a male or female skull, depending on what their work was while they were living. If you can find that out, that helps. You can even use records to go through and find those things out as well. So that's the skull side of it. You can also use parts. It doesn't have to be a full human skull. You can use, I've heard people use vertebrae. You can use different parts of a human body to do certain things, but most likely I would direct it toward the work you're trying to do. You know, if you're, let me just stay away from that. But anyways, so let's go to the spirit side of it. If you're wanting to take a spirit and for it to inhabit a skull, there are a lot of questions to ask. Do you know the spirit? Have you talked with and communed with the spirit? What type of spirit is this that you're talking to? Is this an ancestor? Is this one that you've picked up in a cemetery? So have some type of communication with the spirit and know who it is, what it is. Are you making a pact with the spirit to do work for you? And why do you want the spirit to inhabit the skull? These are some questions you might want to think about answering before interacting with the spirit and before purchasing a skull, okay? Also, do you want the spirit to have free, are you trying to trap the spirit, or do you want the spirit to have free reign to come in and out of the skull as it wills, or as you would summon it to come into the skull when you're ready to do workings, maybe if it's sitting on your altar. These are all things that you might want to think about. Also, is it a freshly deceased spirit, or is it one that's been gone for a while? You might want to have one that's more recent. It might be easier to communicate and to hear the spirit and what they're saying to you. So these are all questions that you should think about before doing any of this, and answer those questions for yourself first, okay? As far as your specific question, you had two questions. You had one about getting the spirit into the skull, and then you had one about why I recommended starting with animal bones first. Getting the spirit into the skull, depending on what kind of pact you've made with this spirit or agreement you've made with the spirit, and what your intentions are and motivations, what your goal is for the work you intend for the spirit to do. Just as we have, let's do some examples. When you're in meditation and you are working and you're in the spirit, your will moves you where you want to go. If you encounter if you encounter an entity, if you encounter a demon, if you encounter something else, your spirit, I'm really trying to explain this the best way I can. Your spirit will fight, will flight, right? It will do something. It will react. You control that. You control the movements of that. Okay, let me jump from that to, if you're cleansing a house and there is a negative entity in there, when you are pulling out a negative entity as you're cleansing your place, as you're cleansing someone's place, you are pulling, your spirit, your will is pulling that negative entity out of the place. Okay? This takes practice. This takes work. This is not just something, this is something that, you know, I've done for, you know, all my life. This takes practice, but you do that. You can do that. So as you become stronger in the spirit world, you're able to pull. When you're reading for somebody, sometimes, right? Some people will pull from that spirit, from the person that you're reading from, pull. You pull their energy toward you. When you practice with a friend throwing energy balls, right? I did this with a friend of mine. He's in the military. Maybe he'll watch this video. We used to throw energy balls back and forth to each other. We catch it and you can feel it back and forth. This is all practice. So all of that to say, here's what I'm saying. I told you I don't know what other practitioners do. This is what I do. I pull the spirit. I pull them and I place them where I want them. If you want them in the skull, that's where you place them. You pull that energy. This is where it's placed. This is where you put them. Again, there has to be a mutual agreement. This is not, I mean, I know some practitioners are like, you know, I'm going to trap you in a bottle, and if you don't do this, you don't do, that's just not my style. The only time I'm ever aggressive or ever have to be aggressive is if something would try, and this has been many years, but would try to maybe come after me or attack me, which, you know, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen anymore. So hear what I'm saying. Know your skull, know your spirit, and then know yourself. Know your will and your energy, and the way you're able to pull energy from others. I know this sounds vampiric, right? And the way you are able to pull spirit or push spirits. This all takes practice. You can actually do that and place that where you want it. So that should answer your first question. Again, I don't know what other practitioners do. A lot of people have to do ceremonies and rituals, and if you want to do that, that's fine and great, and you can come up with something and you can make your own whatever you want up, that's fine. I'm just more of a, I take more of a shamanistic approach, You know, I really don't need anything but myself. I really don't need any other tools other than what I'm working with. I don't have to make this elaborate, okay? The reason I recommended using working with animal bones first, it's because that's what I did first. I have such a connection with nature, with animals. To me, it was easier working with animal skulls. So I worked with bear, my shaman animals, right? I worked with bear, I worked with wolf. So I worked with those skulls first. So those were the easiest for me to work with. So if you have an animal that you are connected with, use those skulls first, because it will be, one, easier for you to connect with. Two, if they're animals that protect you or that are with you, they will connect with you easier. They will work with you easier, talk with you, share with you, and teach you at the same time. So that's why I recommended animal skulls. When I meditated and I was able to touch and hold those animal skulls, I was able to see through the animal eyes when it was alive. And I was able to see, I call it its memories. I don't know what, I mean, that's all I can assume it was or is. Is it in the field? I can see what happened. Sometimes you can see its death. You can see, it's the same with plants and animals. You can touch a tree. I have a tree, I have a trunk. It's an African tree. It's a rare African trunk that I use for connecting to the underworld. But when you touch it, you can feel it. It's alive. And it tells you the story of its relatives that were in the forest. You know what happened to the other trees. You know, we don't realize that these animals, that these trees are living beings, and they have very real connections with other things around them, and they hold memories. They have spirits. So there's power there. There's knowledge there. There's energy there. So think about those things. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but starting with animals was just natural to me. After that, then I connected to the human skulls, and there's lots to learn there. There's still lots to learn because depending on the skull, a store-bought skull is one thing, but if you get a human skull and you connect with the human skull, then you find out how it passed. It could have passed tragically. I have a skull that passed tragically, and I wanted it to do some work for me. I don't think it was ready yet because it still is healing. It's still, some of these items that I have and that I get require healing before it will even go to work for you. I know that sounds weird, but it's not. It's really not, because there's still energy left there. There's still a residue there. Went way deeper than I thought I would tonight. I just wanted to do a quick video. Like I said, I came on here, no makeup. I just wanted to answer your question. I'm hoping it'll help others. This is still along the lines of necromancy. It's still along the lines of mediumship and talking with spirits, connecting with spirit. So I'll probably put this under my necromancy video list so you can refer back to it if you need to. I think this was a pretty informative video. I threw a lot of goodies in there that I'm a small channel, so I'm hoping the folks that need the information get the information. Please like, please subscribe, leave comments. Let me know you're watching. That way I'll take time away from what I'm doing and create more videos, share more knowledge with you that you can use in your own workings. If you have recommendations, leave them down in the comments section below, because I am curious on what other people do. I just don't have time to watch what everyone does or read about what everyone does, but everyone has their own ways. You have to find your own ways and what works for you. So anyways, I'm so happy to share this time with you guys. I really missed being on here, And like I said, comment below, please like the video, and I will see you guys back soon. Thank you for your question. Bye.